James Harden has been a generational talent on offense for years now. Despite his sometimes lackluster defense, he has been one of the best pure scorers in the NBA today. He regularly is able to put on scoring clinics and score over some of the NBA's best defenders, drawing comparisons to many NBA legends. A hero ball whose offensive arsenal is changing the NBA in real time is here to stay, and we have James Harden to thank for this. But despite him being an offensive juggernaut, he has been deemed to be stubborn because although he has won multiple individual accomplishments throughout his career, like winning an MVP, making several All-Star appearances, and scoring titles, this hasn't translated to key playoff victories. I'm not diminishing his accolades, but isn't it time to change his approach and start to think about winning that elusive NBA championship? The Houston Rockets gave him the best talent that he could have, from a young Dwight Howard, Chris Paul, and recently Russell Westbrook, but all had fallen out with him, and in the end, they left or were traded away. See the common denominator here? In this video, let's look closely at James Harden's drama and all the ridiculous demands he has made through the years. But before that, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and smash that notification bell to get updates on the latest NBA content. If they have multiple days off, everybody knows James is going to fly somewhere else and party, but he's going to come back and have a 50-point triple-double, so they're okay with it, a former member of the coaching staff said. Before all these major lockdowns, when the Houston Rockets would go on the road, unless they were playing back-to-back, it was a sure thing that the team would stay overnight or an extra day after games, especially in Miami, Los Angeles, Phoenix, and other cities that have a bustling nightlife because James wanted to party. He was given a pass on practice days because he was the franchise player, and the Houston Rockets gave him that privilege. But despite giving these special privileges to James, he hasn't given them results, besides the 2 Western Conference Finals stints. Harden has demanded the Rockets to upgrade the roster every season, threatening them that he would like to be traded if they weren't contenders. Besides the travel and skip practice option, he had a lot of say on personnel moves from the roster, coaching staff, and management. He flexed this power when Kevin McHale and Dwight Howard left the organization, followed by Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook. Dwight joined the Rockets after an awful stint in LA in 2013. For 3 years, the Rockets would go to the playoffs and even made the Western Conference Finals, where they battled the eventual champions, the Golden State Warriors. But you could see that they were not happy with each other. A CBS Sports reporter leaked out that James wanted the front office to trade Dwight. Of course, James denied this report. Dwight would go on to stay with them to finish the season, but they got destroyed by the Warriors in a playoff series of 4-1. Kevin McHale would stay for the following season, but after starting the season 4-7, he was fired, and JB Bickerstaff replaced him. They would still make the playoffs that year, again falling to the Golden State Warriors in 5 games. The Warriors were a juggernaut that year, finishing the season at 73-9, beating the record of the 1996 72-10 Chicago Bulls. With Chris Paul, they had an excellent 2018 season, finishing as the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, with James Harden winning the MVP. They were a great team under the system of Mike D'Antoni, ranking as one of the best offensive teams in the NBA, including a top 3 defense that year. They were poised and ready to beat the defending champion Golden State Warriors with the big 4 of KD, Steph, Klay, and Draymond. The 2 teams would face each other in the Western Conference Finals, and the Rockets were up 3-2, but they were without Chris Paul because he suffered a sore groin and wasn't available for the remainder of the playoffs. In Game 7, the Rockets and Harden choked because they were up by 10 at the third quarter, missing 27 straight threes. The following year, Chris Paul was not healthy all season, and they fell again to the Kevin Durant-less Warriors in 6 games. After going down again, Daryl Morey wanted to shake things up and improve the roster. He said that anyone besides James Harden can be moved, which meant he made Chris Paul available for a trade. In the midst of his statement, a lot of rumors surfaced that the relationship of Harden and CP3 was not good. They were arguing about small things, but when James was asked of that situation, he would say, "We are communicating. Those are all false claims." There is history with Chris Paul rubbing players the wrong way when he was with the Clippers, but the way the media and rumors were spreading, it was probably exaggerated beyond the truth. But there was one rumor that Chris didn't deny or claim to be true. He said that he wanted the front office to choose between James and him after losing again to the Warriors. After Paul was traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Russell Westbrook, here's what he had to say regarding James Harden. "I wish them nothing but the best. And like I said, people always try to tell your story and tell your truth. I have to be who I am and continue to do that, and I think everything else will take care of itself. We don't talk or communicate, but it's all good and well. I wish him the best. Sometimes you have teammates for a period of time, and that's okay. We wish each other well going forward. It doesn't mean you have to be kumbaya, and it doesn't mean you have to be enemies." James wanted his best buddy, Russell Westbrook, on the team. If the organization didn't trade for him, he would warn them that he would like to be traded elsewhere instead. The Houston Rockets gave up a lot of their assets for him: Chris Paul, 2024 and 2026 first-round picks, and swap rights in 2021 and 2025. When Westbrook came to the Rockets, there were reports that he was not happy with his role and he wanted to play his game. There were a lot of questions about the Harden and Westbrook fit, but ultimately they found their chemistry. Russ averaged 32.2 points, 8.2 rebounds, 7.0 assists, shooting 53.1% from the field over a 2-month span before the shutdown happened. The Rockets were a stark contrast compared to the time Russ was still in OKC. Yes, he would get the same privileges as James did, but he didn't abuse this and still handled everything with professionalism and class. Westbrook dislikes tardiness. Scheduled departure time with the Rockets was a mere joke to Harden. Nothing ever starts on time. The plane is always late. The bus is never on time. It's just an organized AAU team, a former Rockets staff said. On one occasion in the NBA bubble, James Harden purposely delayed his COVID-19 test as their film session was about to start, just because he is James. Westbrook found out about this and immediately shouted, "Start without him, start the film." D'Antoni had to explain to Russ that we will just start over if James enters the room, which didn't sit well with Russ. Whether Russ or James wanted to be traded first isn't clear, but it was very clear that they didn't want to play with each other a season after giving up CP3 and a ton of assets. You can't deny the brilliance of James Harden, 2017-18 MVP, top 3 finisher in the MVP race 4 times over a span of 6 years. He has given Houston a realistic shot at contending, whereas other teams can only dream of this. He is also considered to be an Iron Man on the court, consistently ranking among the league leaders in minutes played, often playing through injuries, sprained ankle, shoulder bruises, blurred eye, and many more. All these sacrifices made it easy for the Rockets to look the other way around and give him special privileges. What do you think of the ridiculous privileges James Harden had? Is it fair given what he sacrificed and gave for the team? Tell us what you think in the comments down below, and once again, make sure to leave a like on this video and hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.